So, hello everyone. Thank you again for being here today. This is an initiative from a project that I started recently. It's called Pasha Integration. I'm a structural integration practitioner. I'm Italian, but I'm based in Portugal. And I really would like this to be a space, maybe a monthly meeting where I interview different practitioners that have a lot of experience and they can share their stories, their insights about structural integration or life or more. And I find it's an interesting way to connect to others, to although we are keeping this thing alive in our practice, in everyday practice, but it's always nice. I find it always nice and important to share with other practitioners and to learn from other practitioners. So this can be a way to do so. We have already interviewed a few people, and as I said, I would like to do this every month. So today, I invited to this conversation Fulvio. He's a dear friend to me, and he's the whole reason why I started structural integration or why I became a practitioner myself was the encounter with this man. In 2014, we met in Sweden, where I was a dancer at the time, and he came to give sessions to the whole company as a present because we had had a very successful season. And the director at the time, who knew Fulvio, decided to give to the whole company, we were about 30 dancers, a session of structural integration. So he came for a few days to Gothenburg. And although I was used to body work because as a dancer, we always did it. But at the time, my sensation was that body work was more like patching up so that the show could go on. Fulvio touched me and the whole company in very different ways. And I remember exchanging with my colleagues at the time and asking each other, "How was your session? What happened?" Because it was for all of us, was very, very meaningful. So Fulvio is Italian. Fulvio Faudella is his name. He's been he studied in the States. He was a dancer himself. And before we start with any of the questions, I would like to know a bit your story. I know that you studied first as a cadet in the Navy, so that's very interesting. And if you can tell us a little bit about that and why and how come you did that.
Well, I was very, very young. I was just graduated from high school, and I needed to do something to give back to my mom because my dad died when I was 8, basically, and my mom was a very strong woman, and she did a lot for me and my sister to let us grow safe and well. So I felt I needed to give her back something, and she wanted me to follow my grandfather footprints. He was an officer in the army, so I said, "Okay, I will do
Sorry,
that."
sorry to interrupt. Are you maybe putting your finger on the microphone or something? Because we hear a bit, it's a bit disturbed.
The microphone is not good.
I think maybe if you're closer to the screen, it's better.
Okay,
Sorry to interrupt.
no problem.
Mhm.
And so I did this thing. I went to the Italian Navy Academy and I did the course to become an officer. And that was a very intense and educative experience. Um, Later, when I went to ballet school, I found out that there were many similarities. uh, Discipline for sure. So I learned discipline. And that's one thing that I think is necessary when you want to go deeper in any kind of path that you pick in your life. So, and it was beautiful and interesting. But I was not meant to be an officer. That was not going to be my life. So I resigned after a while and I went to ballet school instead. I was loved with ballet. Here I am.
So you started with dance after being a cadet.
Actually, I started before a little bit, but then I knew that that was going to be my passion in life, and I wanted to pursue it. So when I went away from the Navy, I straight went to university and ballet together.
You must have been physically very talented, because I was told that you have to start very, very early. So I started dancing when I was 5, actually.
Yeah, probably I was very, how to say, I had some gift. My body was, how to say, it was easy for my body to do dancing, and so it was very easy. And my first ballet teacher was very, very good in teaching me what is dancing. So I could pick up with my younger colleagues in school. So I could manage to go through the school and to start my career, my dancing career, very at the same level as any other kid that have been going to school much earlier than me. So I was fortunate in a way. I was fortunate.
Mm. And so you had a classical dance education?
I started because I was in love with flamenco. I was hit by a performance that I saw in theater, and that's where I knew that I needed to dance in my life. So I went to this ballet academy, which was the only one in the area where there was a teacher, a flamenco teacher, a Spanish lady. And so I started like that, but then soon after, the director called me and said, from tomorrow on, you are going to be in ballet class learning ballet. I said, well, I'm 18. I know that I love ballet, but this is something that you're supposed to learn when you are a kid. He said, either you do what I say or you don't come anymore to Spanish classes. And so I did, and so I fell in love with ballet more. So I would say that movement and body have been my main interest, and all through my life, basically. So still now, I'm very attracted by body dynamics and movement.
Yeah. I can imagine that that's a very important part of your practice as high practitioner as well. The movement and
Yeah, absolutely. There are many similarities also between dancing and structural integration. I would say that this is like a dance that you do with the person you're working with in that moment, and it's exactly like a dance. You do something. Well, actually, you don't do something. You let something happen.
It's within
Sometimes,
both. Yes.
yeah.
I don't know. I need to increase the time.
Hello.
wait. Somebody's, I don't know if Jakob wanted to have a question or if we would just go on, Fulvio.
So you let something happen, and sometimes you find yourself navigating in waters that you have been never navigating before. So every time is the same and different all the time. So I think there is this similarity.
How did you come to structural integration? What's your story? How did you arrive to structural integration?
As for many dancers, because of a bad injury I had during a rehearsal of a ballet, and for a couple of years I've been treating this injury in any way possible, conventional and non-conventional, and nothing happened. So I knew that it was a work that was intended to help with performance. That's how this work was back then. It was famous in my community, dancing community. And so I said to myself, okay, there's nothing else I can do more. So I will try this, and if this doesn't work, I will stop dancing because I had to stop dancing. So I had my first session, and and bam, I was there. I mean, I was shocked about what happened. I think a little bit like you, Chiara, in your first session. So I experienced total. The experience was not just in my body; it was something that happened to my whole person. And after that session, I met a self that I didn't know I was. So, and that self was bigger than what I thought to be. So I'm here after 35 plus years. I don't remember, 40 years actually. And so I'm here to still share the news, the good news.
And after your, so how was what was the path from the 10 sessions to, where did you receive them? Was it in Germany?
No,
Or
I was.
where were you at the time?
I was still in Italy. I was dancing in Verona, and I had this. There was this Rolfer in Padua, and I went through the 10 sessions with him, and it was so transformative, the work, that I remember vividly that every time I had a session, I tried to go to dance the next day. So I tried not to rest, but to have a session and the next day work. And I remember that every time it was like I had to learn again how to move, how to dance, and it was beautiful because it was discovering a potential that I didn't know I had. So it was really huge.
Because I was doing actually the opposite. When I would receive, I always would book my sessions on Friday. So, because actually, when we worked together the first time, I remember going back to the studio and I had no idea where I was. And so, when I had to perform or to do the same kind of steps, it was really a different body that I had to get to know each other. So we had to know each other again. And so when I actually did the 10 sessions, I always would book my session on Friday so that I could rest and keep that feeling for 2 days intact or as intact as possible, to then go back to the bar, to the first position, and restart my day with this new feeling. But I've always liked to have a couple of days to integrate because it was so transformative.
Well, there are many different ways to incorporate this work.
Yeah.
And for me, it was really like I'm so now I'm so between. I felt between different balances that I wanted to try them out. I wanted to see what happens between one another, and it was really still now, still today. I feel I see that it's only when let's say, I stumble on something and I'm about to lose my control. In that moment, the relation I have with gravity shows entirely for me, and so I can catch a little glimpse of what can be day by day, and uh, and I like to be challenged by that. Now I'm getting older. I'm old actually, and I'm getting older by the day. And I feel that this relation with gravity is more demanding in a way, easier in a way, because after so much practice of being alive in relation to gravity is easier. But in another way, growing older is more demanding because it needs more adjustment. I think it needs more, um, or better saying, the adjustments are more refined. It's more precise. That's what I mean. And I think this is part of the process of growing older. but I'm not sure yet. I need to grow older and older to say.
So again, if we go back a little bit, you managed then after to dance a bit longer after those 10 sessions, right? You went back and then you decided to go to the States to study.
Actually, I had other 15 years of career after that, since then.
15. Okay. I thought it was a couple of more. All right.
And then my career, and then I stopped my career. I finished. I concluded my career as a dancer because of my age, because of my, I was exposed to movement for a long time. So that kind of movement. And so then I decided that I wanted to know better and more. And I knew that these would be the tool to understand better both body and movement. And so I went to Colorado to study this work.
How come you chose the guild?
Well, this is the thing that
to study.
When I was my last ballet company, it was a Scottish ballet. And when I was there, I had this structural integration practitioner that was
given. To say after 40 years.
And she told me about the guild. Actually, she told me about this couple of guys, and she said, you really want to meet these guys. And I didn't have a clue about what she was saying. So I took a plane and I went there, and I met Peter, actually. And so I knew since that that was the place I needed to be. I went before that. I went to a pre-class with the Diri in those times that we had Munich, and in Italy there was a pre-training managed by the Diri, and I did it. And I was after the examination, I was allowed to the training, but in the same time I took a plane and I went there, and I saw, being there and meeting this guy was like the click. And I said, okay, I got it. I found it. I found the place. And I don't know if you all know Peter Melchior, but it was to let you know a little bit. If you don't know, if you never met him, you would know when Peter was in the building before you would see him. So that was the amount of presence he was carrying. Yes. It was really special, I think.
How was his teaching?
That's a good question. That's a good question. Still nowadays, I'm asking myself, what was his teaching? It taught many things, and many things made sense after a long time since I've heard it for the first time. And he repeated. But after long years of practice, now they're coming to me. I realized that I was maybe understanding that, but intellectually, not in my body, not in my existence. But every here and then, one of his teachings, they just transform inside myself, like something that is myself. It's not something I know or something I meditate on, but it's something that I am. So I think that this was his teaching style, to let everyone get to where they need to get in their own time, in their own pace. He never would show a technique apart from the fifth hour wrist drop technique, but he never ever showed a technique. It was I can parallel Peter Melchior with Robert North in dancing. There are people that are very good at showing a way and then letting you find yourself into that path. So yes, they're teaching, but in the same time, they're not teaching you. They're showing something, and just and then you follow. It was really every day I really feel gratitude for Peter, the way he was, the way he was teaching.
We always heard in our trainings that Emmett Emmett Hutchins, who was also one of the first teachers, was more like a sculptor, while Peter was suggesting and creating space or creating possibilities. Could you
Yes,
say something to that?
yes. Sometimes I find myself maybe because I'm older now, I find easier to do that, to be that, to make space. And that was I think that was teaching for life in general, not just for structure integration. Was his example was there to be able to create space, to make space for things, for reality to happen. Instead of me wanting to grab reality and to possess reality and to own reality. So that was, I think, a great teaching.
How was the teaching at the time? How was the training at the time? You had to observe a lot. No, it's different than today.
We had three phases basically, and the second was auditing. So for 8 weeks, you just watch, and the last phase is practicing. So in the second phase you watch and you exchange with your peers, and in the third phase you have models and you give the series.
Yeah, that's similar then.
It was beautiful. It was extraordinary, I would say. Then in that training, I soon got that all my expectations were, generally speaking, were too low in comparison to what was there. I mean, available for everyone, not just for me. So that was a very opening. Transformation. It's an alchemic process. I don't know how to put it in, if not words. It was an alchemic process.
I saw also that you had the opportunity to study with many influential teachers like Neil Powers, Fulvio Faudella, David Davis, Niels Silver. And I wanted to ask you if there were particular teachings or moments that deeply touched you or deeply shaped the way you practice today or the way you teach today. Because in the meantime, you became also a teacher. I also want to know about that. Second question.
That's a very good question. First of all, let me say that I'm very, very grateful to all the teachers I have had, all of them, and I've been touched by everyone in different ways. I mean, of course, there is a common level of but everyone had an impact, a different impact, not just on myself, but all the students in the class, all the students in the class. And well, Neil is powerful. He's powerful as a person, he's powerful as a practitioner, he's powerful, is pure power, I think. And I really appreciated so much his way to show students his way, his own way to see, feel. So evaluation through vision and touch. And I find that is very, very efficient for students to learn this work. David is pure spirit. Is when you are in presence with David, you soon realize that you are on another level of human existence. he has this capacity to bring you, to elevate you to different levels of existence. And Nilsi, it was the first time I studied with Nilsi soon after Peter, and Nilsi, in all these years I've been in her classes, she has a great capacity to communicate a very clear information in a very pure way, easy, and a great capacity to show, to let you see, feel the relation between sleeve and core. It was the first time we there all the time. As the first time, I see her very. She has this capacity to let you feel and see the core in a human structure. She's very. Her work is very fine. But any teacher always give you something, you know, and. Peter used to say that this work is about communication. And so actually, literally, any teacher is communicating a message. So any teacher can teach anything. Of course, we need to be a teacher and student, let's say, if we can categorize, I don't know. But student and teacher, they, of course, need to be in a context of where these can happen, no? This relation can happen. So then communication is flowing.
What is for you nowadays the sleeve and the core? How would you describe those spaces, or?
I don't describe it today. Well, I thought I could describe it, but after many years, I came to the conclusion that, well, I mean, describe to students is one thing, but if you ask me personally, how can I describe it? I don't think I can. But more interesting, I think, is when I am in a class, for instance, let's say, whatever class, no? Do something for the whole class, for me and the whole class, to leave it, to make it alive, so that you leave your own relationship, core and sleeve relationship. So when you feel it in yourself, when you find it in yourself, it's easier to communicate it to your clients or your students or whatever. And so it's more a state of, I would say, a state of practice. The more you practice, the more you can communicate it, and the more you can get out of it.
What do you do for your own self practice? Or how do you take care of yourself? Because you've telling me that sometimes you have 8 to 10 people a day because you cannot say no because you have so many people around that need help, and otherwise you don't want them to wait for too long. How do you keep yourself? Because I think there is also something very important in ourselves, in that core or sleeve relationship. How do you operate? Where do you operate from, and how can you give so much of yourself and take care of yourself at the same time?
First of all, I have my lovely wife that she's there for me. So that's my source of life, actually. So I regenerate continuously because I'm in her presence. And I would say that the thing that most helps me is to be is to try to expand my body in space all the time, as far as I can, as much as I can. Not all the time you can do that, but as much as I can, I try to, when I work, when I give sessions, when I try to be in an expanded relation to space around. So that helps me to go through the day and weeks and months and years and who knows.
So it's something that you try to not collapse into yourself, or is it a posture? Is it a way of practicing? Is it...
I use Dr. Rolf's material and teachings. You know, the right angles orientation of the body, no, expansion on joints, and all the teachings that Dr. Rolf put out there for us. So, and everyday practice, the more I practice, the more I discover about it. So every day is a new thing. It's the same and a new thing.
And so when did you meet then Aleš and the European Guild? At which point in your career did you have that relationship, and what happened then?
The very first time I met Aleš was when years ago, I organized workshops in Italy for guild teachers, American guild teachers. And I think it was the first or the second workshop I organized with Neil Powers. Aleš was there. And so we met, and it was very interesting. Aleš is an interesting person. Is a very talented person, as we all know. He's a creator. He knows how to put together many different things. He knows how to bring in relationship different things, and so in this way, I think he's a creator. And since we've been seeing each other in classes, and then years ago he asked me if I would like to join in the mission to teach for the guild, for the European Guild, and I was very, very honored and happy about this call.
How is teaching for you? How is teaching for you?
Oh, teaching is the best learning tool ever. Teaching is great. You see things only when you. I think that only is like in dancing, no? For 30 years you're doing plie, and it's only when you teach a plie that you can go deeper into the meaning of a single plie. Same thing here. So you practice for 30 years, and then when you teach that one thing in the recipe, wow, it makes a lot of sense. It's a different way to see the same thing. And the need for you to communicate this to other people is challenging, of course, is a challenge, but in the same time makes you see it in a more complex way.
Yeah. And is movement part of your teachings? Do you guide sessions of, I don't know, embodiment, or because I find that part very important to be able to be with ourselves so that we can be at service with somebody else. I wonder if in your training or in the courses that you give, it doesn't necessarily have to be, it has to be the basic training, which has its formats. But I know that you teach around the world. Also, you teach dance companies, you teach, what do you teach in those workshops, for example?
Well, thank you for the question. I think the movement is the base of this work. I mean, not the base, but it's a very important component of this work. And still now, after years of practice, if I have to say what is guiding me when I give a session to a person, is I look at the structure, of course, but the very first thing I look, and it's not me, is like that. The very first thing I look at is the way this person is in relation to space through movement. So but that's me. So for me, this is a very important part of the work.
Do you have the clients moving, like you have them walking, you observe them, or you just observe them as they are in space when they come in? Anything?
I observe them since the moment they enter the door, the studio. Having said so, I think that the recipe is full of movement. All the movement we need to use is already in the recipe. in the same time, I very like exploring movement in space, and I do this in different modalities, in different workshops and seminars for different group of peoples, like dancers, colleagues, students, any group of people. And of course, it's when I when I explore movement with this group of people is different, is a little different. Is always based upon uh, the wisdom of doctoral work, and of course it includes awareness, body awareness, orientation in space, and just movement. I mean, how to use movement to feel yourself in relation to space.
And how is it received by dancers, for example? How is it when you teach them these principles? Because we can be like dancers can be, sometimes we think that we are very open and very aware, but they're also very good executors. More like you have those that have felt something deeper within themselves. I actually remember when I was very young, I received this correction that when I was on stage, I was very sun-like, and so that I could have worked on my moon, so more on the inside. And therefore, when you are in that space, you can invite the audience into yourself rather than just showing everything and just being there and execute, maybe even perfectly, but how much more there is in that space, in that core, and that sleeve.
Well, first of all, another good point. Thank you. First of all, let me say that this work is about gravity, no relation to gravity. So dancers are privileged explorer into this field because they know gravity. I mean, they are born with gravity, especially you starting so young, no? And in the same time, if we allow ourselves to be fixed on certain modalities, certain ways to certain habits, suddenly, also if we are dancers, for instance, no, so well educated to movement, to gravity, suddenly we can develop a self closure to the relation with gravity, and this is valid for not just for dancers, for anyone. For me, for I am the first in that line. So I would say that let me use this metaphor. I see that nowadays contemporary dance is more about self involvement of the individual more than expression of a content. It's a very hard metaphor. Huh? Of course, it's not only this, but this is happening also, and this goes along with the development in societies of a different way to relate to space. So this is something that is not just happening in the dance field, but is happening. It's a generation thing. I don't know how to say it. The way we relate to our space, to the cities, to the environment in general, is totally different since 30 years ago, 20 years ago. So something is changing, and I see that something is changing in the capacity that we have to relate. No, so there is a little bit more detachment from the general environment around us. And this has an influence, of course, in our relationship to space, to gravity, to movement.
I also know that you often accompany dance companies on tour or not on tour in their theaters, and you give sessions for a short amount of time. How is that for you, from having been a dancer and then suddenly you are behind the curtains, giving them this presence that is structural integration?
You know, it's amazing, and as I said, it's still like be a dancer, basically, in a way, because you are still. I think that when a human body is expressing the true potential, this is reverberating all around in space. And so being there on stage, behind the scene, you are just invested by this. And let me say this, I know that balance is contagious. So when you are exposed to somebody else's balance experience, your body is solicited, is invited to find balance, more balance. I'm sure that any one of us have experienced that at the end of a session, when the person stands up and feels maybe a little longer, taller, and more and lighter, you feel that's exactly the same in your body. So this is really, that's why I think Peter used to say this work is about communication, because balance can be communicated and can be shared. So the important thing is that we need a context, we need a frame into which create a direction to this. Otherwise, can be lost. Yeah. I don't know if it makes sense, but
Yeah. What do you enjoy the most today when you bring people through the 10th series? Do you still do it a lot? How has your practice changed? Or how is that process for you nowadays? And maybe what do you focus the most? Or what's, your pleasure with it? Maybe a session that you particularly like to give, or...
Well, I still, after so many years of practice, I still practicing the recipe, and I still following the recipe, of course, in a different way, since I was young in this field, of course. But I'm still enjoying it because the recipe, I think, is so rich, is so full of contents that I think it would take me 2 or 3 lifetimes to fully I don't know, but to grasp the essential part of what it means, what it is. So I still enjoy it. Clients enjoy it. They enjoy it a lot. It's every day it's a new discover. Every day is a surprise.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Fulvio. I wonder if any of the participants have some questions or something they want to add to the conversation. You can open your mics. I always enjoy listening to you.
Thank you. It's always good.
I'm looking forward to the next session.
I'm looking forward to share sessions. For sure. It's always good to be in presence of colleagues and communities. This is really nurturing.
Yeah. It's also a little bit my intuition for this project that it's being creating at the time. Here I'm actually asking you all these questions from this beautiful location, which is Loraleco village, where we the intention is to organize retreats yearly. I think it's a perfect environment here in Portugal to study together, to deepen our skills, but also to have time to integrate. Sometimes when we go to workshops, which is usually it's always a fantastic experience, but you are in a city, you are in the busy life anyway, having to look for your own spot, having to look for dinner, for this and for that. So to unify that into a space where you can also connect at night or resting. You've been here, Laurel. Maybe you can say something about that. How was it for you? You gave here a workshop to the residents here.
Floral is a beautiful place. First of all, is a very inviting and exciting village, old village, in a beautiful landscape. But not only this, it's a great community. It's you find a sense of a community there, and it's not common anymore nowadays. So that was the feeling I had. It was very transformative being in Laurel. It's a place that transforms you.
I saw that you're teaching soon also, Fulvio. Maybe you want to say something about that. You're going to teach a workshop, a four-handed workshop? Is that?
Yeah, and the workshop in a beautiful place, actually, in Sestri Levante, which is on the seaside, beautiful beaches, very nice landscape. Again, the context is important. So that's a beautiful, beautiful place. And in September is still very enjoyable because you can still swim in the water in the seaside. So me and Adam Polaski together will give a four-handed workshop in the line of Emmett Hutchins' idea of four-handed workshop work. Okay, good.
Okay. Thank you very much, everybody, for being there today.
Thank you, Chiara, and thank you, everybody.
For the next conversation. I will keep you posted. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao.